Hi, folks. Welcome to Inside Arm Wrestling, the home for all news on arm wrestling, fitness, strength sports, and fitness competitions. By the time this episode of Inside Arm Wrestling releases, folks, we will be already through the weekend of the AFC and NFC championship games. The Super Bowl competition contenders will be already matched. So we are taping this for the weekend. However, on Wednesday, when this gets released as our Wednesday edition, we will already know who will be in and at the Super Bowl finals. For everyone's purpose of my predictions, I'm going to go with the Chiefs versus the Lions, only because conspiracy theorists out there are stating that because of some confetti that's 49ers gold and red, or Baltimore black and purple, that these are already predetermined results and that the Ravens are going to play the 49ers. Folks, I don't believe in conspiracy theory. Therefore, I am going to go against the status quo, the norm, the highlights of all of social media. I'm going to go with the Lions and the Chiefs. But I'm bound to be wrong, folks. It doesn't really matter. Not that I care who's playing. The Pittsburgh Steelers are my favorite team. They're out. So any of these four teams will do, as next year we'll hopefully cheer for the Steel Curtain to be back in the final game of the season. But until then, we're going to talk about something fun this week, guys. And ironically fun because in value, arm wrestling is done in weight classes. So looking at statistically, who would win an arm wrestling match between the four starting quarterbacks of this weekend? Lamar Jackson of the Ravens, Jared Goff of the Lions, Brock Purdy of the 49ers, and Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs. We don't have to put weight into consideration because all of these gentlemen, whether at 212, 217, 220, or 225 respectively, would fall into the 239 class at World Series of Arm Wrestling, or in most classes somewhere around the 220 to 232 class. So we are able to take weight out. And so let's have a little discussion, a fun one. Anyone can pop in on the comments or likes, and I encourage you to do it. And this is all in fun, guys. I don't have any information that would make any of what I'm about to say serious. I have no indication that either of these individuals have arm wrestled before. I'm just going to go with just a little bit of fun inspection here and kind of go through the motions with it. So let's start off with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is 6'2", 212 pounds. He is the lightest of all of the athletes there. Certainly been in the league for a bit of time. 27 years old, Lamar Jackson, 27. Out of Louisville, Kentucky. We do know that a lot of great arm wrestlers come from the South and the Midwest. I would say that maybe Louisville, in terms of college, may have put Lamar Jackson on a table somewhere. Don't know that to be true. We'll take his college pedigree as the place in which maybe arm wrestling started for him. But, and seeing that he just turned 27, he is probably mid-level as an elder statesman. I think Brock Purdy is a couple of years younger. Certainly Patrick Mahomes is the eldest of this group. Lamar Jackson is a freak of athleticism. He's extremely fast. He's extremely strong. He's extremely awkward. He's angle-orientated. But he does make a lot of risky moves, folks. Let me tell you. You know, if you watch Lamar Jackson play, he's amazing. He is a quintessential athlete, someone to keep your eye on at all times. However, he does do things unorthodox, and on an arm wrestling table, unorthodox can sometimes hurt you. Let's put it for what it is. At some point, unorthodox can be a detriment to exactly what you're doing. But if we look at Lamar Jackson and we put him in a playoff arm wrestling battle against Patrick Mahomes, who literally is the heaviest. And at 28 years old, a year senior to Lamar Jackson, at 28 years old and 225 pounds, Patrick Mahomes has definitely put a lot of settling into his games. He's got great arm strength. He's got great speed. He's got great awareness. I would say that maybe he has the best football acumen in terms of his maturity and really at face value of his athletic career so far. Interesting enough, out of Texas Tech would make him in the TAL. The TAL is a very impressive league, folks. We all know the Texas Arm Wrestling League is a tough place to go in and win a tournament when you're on the outside. That could be an advantage. Perhaps Patrick Mahomes has a little bit better practice squad around him, maybe a little bit more technical help. So 6'2", 225 versus 6'2", 212. I'm going to give this matchup to Patrick Mahomes. I think he wins 3-1 out of a best of 5. Patrick Mahomes is the winner. Again, I think that he's going to win because Lamar may actually foul out on one or two of those matches, being unorthodox, not keeping his elbow on the pad, maybe jumping the start, all the things that would get you a foul. So we're going to go 3-1 Patrick Mahomes over Lamar Jackson in the AFC final arm wrestling game, which then brings us up to the next one, which would pit Jared Goff, who certainly with the Detroit Lions has had an amazing season against Brock Purdy. So let's break it down. Jared Goff at 29, I stand corrected, is actually the oldest. I did not realize that he was a year older than Patrick Mahomes. Now I really have to check, because I would be very embarrassed if Brock Purdy was actually older than him all. No, Brock at 24 is the youngest of the crew. Jared Goff would be the senior statesman in this case against Brock Purdy. 6'4", 217, a little bit leaner. But I'm going to assume that elbow to fingertip ratio for Jared is a little bit better than Brock Purdy at 6'1" and 220. Why do we like Jared Goff in this case? Well, he did go to Cal, which means he's up there with the arm benders in Northern California. Definitely he's got some pedigree and some training partners out there that would make you assume that if he was arm wrestling in college, that he would have some really good advantage in terms of some table time and definitely some tournament time. And if we look at Brock Purdy now for San Francisco, who resides up in the Bay Area, or at least plays in the Bay Area. Again, that Northern California swag might be a deal with him, but he's only been up there for a short period of time. Out of Iowa State. Now, Iowa has some really good arm wrestlers, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure that Iowa is going to have the pedigree that maybe California or Texas would have, but in this case, matched up against California. Brock, who's a little bit shorter, 6'1", certainly a different lever from elbow to fingertip, might dive into the hook, but we know that going into the hook against Northern California arm bender pullers, such as Brock Purdy would be from college, might not be the best idea. So in this case, we are going to go with Jared Goff as the winner. And I'm also going to say that being there's a 4-year advantage in terms of arm wrestling, hypothetically, we're going to say Jared Goff wins this one pretty convincingly 3-0. I don't think he's got any problems working through the young man's hand. Brock's hand probably hasn't matured enough. Jared certainly has at 29. So we're going to go with Jared Goff 3-0, which then brings us to the Super Bowl prediction. Jared Goff against Patrick Mahomes. Again, folks, all hypothetical, having this for fun. And certainly what I want you to do is, after you like this video, subscribe, is go into the comments and tell us who you think would be the Super Bowl champion amongst quarterbacks in arm wrestling. This one, folks, I really think is an interesting matchup. 6'4", 6'2". Certainly Patrick Mahomes being a little bit heavier, Jared Goff a little bit lighter. I might give the athleticism to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, to me, is a much more athletic quarterback, has been all his life. He's taken a lot of shots. And I can be honest with you, when I look at some of these statistics in terms of arm wrestling, it really, athleticism makes a difference. The quickness off the start. I think he's going to fire off against Jared Goff, much like Lightning Luke Kentwood. Certainly, much like a strong Greg Gray would have a lot of strength. Seeing he's from the Texas area, the TAL. So again, I gotta think that Patrick Mahomes is going to be very, very tough to sweep. Jared Goff being a bit more of a static puller because of his static quarterback type approach. I'm going to go on this one, folks. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. The TAL, Texas Arm Wrestling League, I got to think that Patrick Mahomes down there, he's going to have a lot of guys pulling him from down in the Texas area. It's just my gut. But I'm going to go 3-2 in the Super Bowl, Jared Goff versus Patrick Mahomes. I've got Patrick Mahomes winning the final match on a 2-2 tie, taking the Super Bowl championship in arm wrestling, and moving on to the following season and getting the ring, and in our case with the World Series of Arm Wrestling, to watch as well. So, folks, having fun with this. It's AFC, NFC Championship weekend. By the time this airs, we'll know if my predictions were right from the KC game and from the San Francisco game. We'll see if Detroit and KC were able to make it to the Super Bowl or if conspiracy theorists prevail. But all in all, folks, who do you think would win amongst the quarterbacks? Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes. If it was a Super Bowl of arm wrestling between those four, show us in the comments who you like, who you would put your support behind. And folks, that does it for another Inside Arm Wrestling News Report. It's been a fun one. This has been Greg Sharp reminding you to train hard, pull smart, and lift safe. Have an amazing week. Folks, if you like these stories and you want to see more, please hit the like button and subscribe to our page. Also hit the notification bell underneath the video so that way you're notified every time a new video comes out. And if you're on social media, specifically Instagram, go to the World Series of Arm Wrestling Instagram page. Please follow it. We'll try to follow you back, but it'll keep you up to date with all of the news and events in the world of arm wrestling.